Evening and welcome back to episode 15 of the Hooked On NRL SuperCoach podcast. I'm your host Sol and I'm joined by my co-host Fish. How are you, Fish?
Yeah, good mate. Good to be back. Another week in the books, closing in on the Origin season and all the bye planning. So yeah, good. It's coming to that pointy end of the season really, where bye planning and all that stuff is really beginning to be a crucial part of the season. Especially this is where you kind of head to head and overall players split.
Yeah, definitely agree on that, mate. Yeah, obviously, yeah, it's good to have another weekend down. I know that obviously you're a bit tired today, mate, after some events on the weekend. But hopefully, thanks for jumping on and mustering through it. If you want to give the viewers a bit of insight into what happened on the weekend, and we can move on with it.
Yeah, so about 20 minutes into the Raiders Dogs game, had the game up on the screen. I was
Yeah,
involved in
geez.
a car crash. Some blokes rear-ended me, so not too bad. Working through, nothing a bit of codeine and a bit of choss can't help. So we're getting through it. But yeah,
That's it, lad.
it's cars are right off, but more it just puts a bit of into perspective. But it's good to have footy back.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, good to see you back on the show and still kicking on and still kicking on with it. All the best with the recovery and that. And yeah, we'll move on to some super coach chat. And yeah, just a reminder to everyone out there that this is just a game. There's a lot bigger battles out in life, isn't that right? So we'll move on.
That's it, mate. I think you've done well there. All right, going on to our YouTube comments from last week. Our first one for the week is Eddie Brockhurst. He's gone Timmy Glasby. Unreal years so far for the community. Good to see Sol joining me in the top 1,000. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed we can stay there. So we'll go for a bit of we're going to deviate a bit from the rest of the comments and look into the leagues. And just a bit of a shout out to Eddie Brockhurst coming in
Yeah.
seventh in our league with a rank of 699. So with the 1,600 score last week, that saw him red arrows of 68. So it's
Yeah.
pretty tough going up the top there, but obviously you two are having really good seasons.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Well, it looks like as per your comment, Ed, that we've stuck in the top 1K, so we've held it for a week, and hopefully for a few more weeks to come. Yeah, good to see you right up there, mate, at the pointy end, and yeah, I think you were pretty up there in the tips as well, not too far ahead of me, and Fish is up there as well. So we're all having a good go at it, and yeah, just wish your Broncos were doing a bit better, and then you'll be the ideal season for you. But they're just woeful, aren't they? Up the wires, mate.
That's the one. Poor Eddie with the Broncos. But mate, good to see you getting into your super coach and your tippet again. Just like old days back in Terrace in grade 5, grade 6. So love to see that, mate. Sammy Josephson's gone go the wires, so up the wires again.
Up the
And
wires. Can't get enough
paycheck
of those.
450. He's gone 1610 last week. Went from 26K to 14K. Taking a lot of your advice on board. Question. How many guns would you have in your team? Currently, he only has 11.
Well, first of all, mate, that's bloody awesome feedback from you. I'm really stoked to hear that you're taking some advice. That's why we do the show. It's other than a bit of fun for Fish and I as a bit of a hobby, but really good to see our followers and listeners doing really well. I'm stoked for you, mate. 26K to 14K. I hope you had saw more green arrows this week. On to the second part of the question: how many guns should you have? I don't think it's this part of the season. It's about how many guns. As Fish touched on very early on, coming into the bye round now, this is sort of where you see a bit of a split between head-to-head and overall players. If you're going for overall, mates, then it's not really about how many guns, it's about how many games played and how many navigating your side, having a look at your team and getting the maximum, and most importantly, ensuring that you get 13 players on the park for the major bye rounds. So that's round 12, 15, and 18. And anyone, if you can get any more, that's great as well. So 13 solid scorers in those rounds is crucial if you're going for overall. So just have a look in your side and see what you can do trades wise. I wouldn't be focusing on guns so much, but more, like because a lot of the guns do play in Origin. For example, Nathan Cleary is one of the most traded out this week because he plays Origin and plays 4 of the 9 next games. So he's got a bye this week, then he goes into Origin, then he backs up from Origin, and then he's got another bye in round 15 because of Origin, and then round 16, Ivan Cleary's already come out and said that he won't back up because the game is in Perth, the Origin game's in Perth, and they got to travel. The Panthers have their game on in New Zealand, so he said that Panthers players won't back up. So something like that, Cleary's as big of a gun as you can get in this game, but he barely plays. So I think, for example, he's someone that you could definitely look at trading out this week if you've got the luxury to do so. It's more about I've gone a bit over time on this question, but more about maximizing how many games played you have and looking at your team structure.
Yeah, I think I'll just echo Sol's sentiments there. And it's just really good to see that the listeners are doing well and improving on our advice and are getting some good ranks. So that's really good to hear. So hopefully keep it up, paycheck. Reminder, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll get back to your comments in the next episode. We're at 96 subscribers, so we're almost there for the big 100. Hopefully we get that around the bye season. So that would be a big sort of landmark for us. So yeah, we really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Moving on now to the league, and the league's all wrapped up now. It's closed. No more entries for this year. So if you're watching us now, if you watch us any point now to the rest of the season, just remember we'll run it again next year. But yes, the winner of the pod this year will be invited on to join us for an episode and kind of talk us through what went right for them this year. But as per this season, a lot of recurrences for Big Nathan at the top
Yeah.
with the jet speed. He's now in 13th spot overall. So it's just a cracking effort, mate. We're obviously very familiar with your team. I
Yeah.
just love that front row forward. Hey, Captain
Yeah, it's awesome.
Pappenhausen, Drinky Teddy's, tick tick tick. Good centre wing. It's just a good team, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good team. Just to jump on the back of your comments there about, inviting someone on the pod at the end of the year, or well, whoever finishes top spot. Fisher and I will be doing a bit of revision in the off season as to how we can improve this channel. So we'll be having a look at, going on to Spotify, etc., and other audio platforms, and then we'll also look at ramping up the prizes as well. Instead of, this is just our first season, so that's sort of the best we could give. But definitely expect a bit more to come on our podcast. That's the goal is we want to grow this a little bit more and really knuckle down the off season.
That's it, mate. I think you've nailed it there.
Yeah,
So on
and
to onto the
yeah.
week that was. How did you go, mate? Another good week. If you want to talk us through it.
Oh, it was an okay week, mate. I was expecting to see Red Arrows going into the week, obviously without Tedesco, who's a very key player in my side and one of the best in Supercoach. But I fortunately saw green. It wasn't huge greens. I went up from rank 996 to rank 901. Um, and that was mainly mostly due to captaining Ryan Pappenhausen, who, as we know, scored 4 tries against the Tigers and went for a big 182. 3 of those tries came in the first 17 minutes. He was just phenomenal. I mean, watching that game that will go down for me as one of the best watches of all time for me as a super coach player. It's just delightful, and the poor Tigers just couldn't get your poor Tigers, mate, couldn't get anything going in that game. They just got absolutely steamrolled. So hopefully they come back. But I think most teams would have when Melbourne are in a mood like they were on Sunday Arvo, dry track at Amy Park. It's very tough to beat them on those sorts of days. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then yeah, so
thankfully for me, that game I had just come out of the hospital, so I managed to miss most of it and just saw sort of the last 10 minutes there. So yes, missed all the Pappy carnage and the Storm carnage, but yeah, Melbourne at Amy Park on a sunny sort of day always spells trouble.
yeah, that's it, mate. They're such a good side, and I guess the rest of the side did quite well. Drinkwater's just been a astute buy for me all the way through. Obviously, I got him in 3 weeks ago, and he's got 3 tons since I've owned and I captained him in the first week as well. So he's been awesome. Everyone else was pretty solid. I bought in Cobo for Tamale, which looks to be a really good trade. Obviously, Tamale only got 35 or so this week. He does play the bye round, but I just think he had peaked, which I seem to be pretty bang on there. And Cobo's made me 50k in the process of getting 72. And he also has another game, good matchup this week with the Dragons at Suncorp on Sunday Arvo at 2 p.m. So that was part of the reasoning for getting him in as a little bit of a pod. I'm pretty happy I did that. And then also bought an Olakuatu, who I'm less happy with. He was pretty average in that game. 55 though is not the worst, but I would expect a bit more, and I'm hoping he can come out and have a bit of a better game for us this week against the Cowboys. I bought him in for Horsburgh. Everything else pretty stock standard. Really happy with Riley Smith getting 60 points as a cheapy hooker. I bought him in for Grant a couple of weeks ago, and the other guy's just kicking on. Hubner got a solid 50, and Munster. It's good to finally see him actually do something that's not very average, which is what he's been producing all year. Finally, he's had a big score, which rewarding owners who have had him. Pretty happy with that, mate. Hopefully, go and see more greens next week, and very happy with the captaincy choices of late, which I think have sort of skyrocketed me up the rankings all year. Well, most of the year for the last few weeks, particularly. Obviously, I captained Turbo for his 23 and Marju for 38 in the early doors, but still, 10 rounds in, haven't seen any red arrows yet. So maybe this is the week. It's all been green, mate. I've been on the up all season long. Hopefully, you can keep it going.
That's it, mate. Your side's looking in a good, strong position. So hopefully, as you said there, you keep it going and bring the league up and hopefully inspire the rest of you guys to do well as well at home. Me, unfortunately, not as good of a week last week. I still scored pretty well. I scored a 15-23 with Captain Cleary. So if I captain Pappenhausen, I score pretty high for last week. But obviously, it's 100 and something point swing there, which didn't work out. But apart from that, Ponga again just flopped. I'm pretty sick of him now. I'm very happy to move him on next week for Teddy. He is just him and Gatto really put the season on the back burner a little bit. Other sides, obviously, I benched Egan again over LKT, so missed out on a bunch of points there. But apart from that, the side I'm pretty happy with. AFB and Brayley, both my sort of pods along with Herbie, both doing pretty well as well. So yeah, happy I traded in Drinky last week, and it looks like Guymer as well, who is now nuffed out, which is probably what I would prefer after watching his performance last week. So hopefully better next week. Hopefully a better week this week, and leading up with into and coming into the buys. Hopefully the side's pretty strong with the buy, so that's where I usually make some ground. So hopefully over the next coming weeks we can start to crack back down and have a crack at the top K come the season's end.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, your side looks very strong. Definitely looks deep. I would say, it looks deeper than mine, probably. Obviously the key sort of omission there that's glaring in my face is Ponga, compared to Tedesco on my side, which is, turned out to be a massive difference. And it's just one of those ones where I thought Ponga was going to have a blinder against the Titans, and obviously most people did, and then the Knights just suck. And it's unfortunate, but he goes off to Origin next week, so probably a good time to give him one last hoorah, see what he can do, and look to ship him on.
That's it, mate. He'll be on one of my never again lists after this year. That
Yeah,
brings
fair.
us good into TLT for the week. So if you want to kick us off, mate, with our no Thursday night game this week, obviously for the State of Origin 2 for the women. So Queensland obviously got flogged in the first one, so hopefully the girls show a bit of something and come back this game. But yeah, our first game's on Friday night with the Knights versus the Eels.
Yeah, first game on Friday. So we'll get straight into it and try and roll through this as quick as we can. Have a go for a shorter episode. So for the Knights, centre Dan Gagai set for his 300th NRL game and will line up in the back line alongside 20-year-old debutant Fletcher Hunt. Another Fletcher on the night side. That can only mean good things, mate. After Greg Margie was ruled out with a knee injury. Obviously, that's relevant to both of us. Leo Thompson will also miss Friday's clash after a head knock, with Tyson Frizzell shifting to the front row as a result. The reshuffle has seen Adam Elliott added to the starting side and Tom Kent come onto the bench. Jack Heffington has been named as 18th man in his bid to return from shoulder injury. For the Eels, Lomax is back from foot injury that has had him sidelined since round 5. The winger will have one game to play his way into New South Wales State of Origin jumper. Lomax's return as a straight swap with Bailey Simonson, who picked up a foot injury last weekend. Coach Jason Riles has made one change to the forward pack, with back rower Matt Dory added to the starting side at the expense of Charlie Geimer, who has not been named in the squad. Tony Mataele is the new man on the bench and is in line for his NRL debut.
Yeah,
What are your
not too
thoughts there,
much
mate?
to touch on here. Really, the main talking points is the Marzu injury for the Knights. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. He's a clear sell. It's just a question is really now who to. You obviously got Lucas in there as well, which you might be able to flick and work out with the duels. But yeah, look, Marzu's a sell. Bit of a watch on Fletcher Hunt. Apparently, the kid is a bit of a star, so he could be joining us in a couple of weeks' time. But obviously, the Marzu injury is only 4 to 6 weeks. So obviously, no need to rush and jump on, but it could just be a one to watch for the weekend there. But that's all I've got for this game, mate.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar, mate. The only thing I'd like to add is I really do like Jacob Saifidi as a buy this week. If you are looking to ship off maybe a Royce Hunt, for example, he's only 370 odd K with a -9 B, and he will cover you for the first two buys, and he's scored quite solidly. And then obviously Leo Thompson's out of this game as well, so um, should mean only good things for him, more workload, maybe more minutes. So I really don't mind the buy there. And obviously we know that Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Lucas are guns, and I can't knock the purchase of them any week at this point, or this week as well. So that's all for me on the Knights, mate.
That's it. I have the Knights in this game by 12, I think. Obviously, the first half last week was promising, the second half, not so much, but I think they have to come out and put out an 80-minute performance. And if they want to win, start winning some games, it really starts at home against the Eels this weekend.
Yeah, it's Gagai's 300th as well, so you would expect him to show something, but I'm going to go against you there, mate. I'm going to go the Eels in this one by 4 points. I just think if I look at Moses compared to Jack Cogger, that's enough for me. In a key position to to do that tip, and then obviously Lomax back, which I think is going to be lethal on the wing, jumping up for high balls against a debutant or James Schiller. So I think that's what will get them across the line. From a Supercoach perspective, sorry, there's nothing really to touch on for the Eels. I don't mind Dylan Brown as a buy this week. If you're not going for LKT, I'm definitely looking at him. And if you have Young, I would hold him. And that's about all I've got to sort of comment on there. No one else really piques any interest.
Yeah, like it, mate. Moving on to our second game of Friday night, we got the Dogs versus the Roosters.
So for the Dogs, just one change for them after Jamin Salmon suffered an ankle injury in last week's victory over the Raiders. Harry Hayes comes into the starting side, and youngster Luke Smith is in line for an NRL debut off the bench. For the Roosters, Lindsay Collins will have one game to prove his fitness for a Queensland State of Origin call-up after he was named on the interchange. The representative forward has not played since he suffered a knee injury in round 5. No other changes for the Roosters after they enjoyed their bye last week. What are your thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, mate, not too much from a Supercoach perspective. Probably the only thing for the Dogs would be Viliami Kikau on
Yep.
the edge there. He's really putting some good performances together this year, and we're seeing him not used as that decoy, and he's really engaging the line and having that last pass. So he's getting a few tries and try assists this year. So I like him as a bit of a pod at just under 600K in the second row forward. But apart from that, that's all I've really got to comment on for the Dogs, mate. How about you?
Yeah, I like him too, mate. Just adding on to that. Yeah, he's been running that sweep line out the back a lot and then tipping onto the winger. He also covers all three major buy rounds, and he's someone that I'm looking at. Other than that, for the Dogs, not really looking at too much else. Obviously, we both own Karaz, who is absolute weapon and never a bad time to buy him. And I think with Lomax back, Karaz should be pretty safe from the Origin jersey. And the other pod to go for is Connor Tracy, who I quite like as well in the side. And then at fullback covering all three of the buys, and he's available at centre wing. And then Matt Burden, I don't think is much of an appealing option anymore without the goal kicking. But that's all for me, mate. Harry Hayes as well. You could potentially have a look at him starting on the edge, but I just think it's a bit too short term. So yeah, that's all for me, mate,
Yeah,
on
I
the
agree
dogs.
there. And then moving on to the Chooks, probably the big talking point is Tedesco, but we'll find out the Origin teams. I think it's this Sunday after the NRL games are played. So, as a non-owner myself, it's just an easy one for me. Just wait to see the Origin teams. I don't suspect he'll be named, but there is a very possible chance that he will be. If he is named, he's a must sell, but if he's not, he's a must have. So that's how I would play it if I didn't own Tedesco.
Yeah, couldn't agree anymore, mate. On the must have, must sell side of it there. Obviously, I'm an owner. And yeah, I'll definitely look to sell if he's named, but I'm actually not expecting him to be named. I think it will be Edwards, but I guess time will tell. Teddy though has been the form fullback of the comp, probably in my opinion. Him or Pappenhausen. Drinkwater evens up there. But yeah, time will tell. I think yeah, you've said it perfectly how you've said it, and not really much else to touch on. Avoid all Roosters Origin players, so Angus Crichton and Connor Watson wouldn't be touching them, and that's about it. I don't mind Egan Butcher as a buy, who will go up in price and cover you for all three major buy rounds, and yeah, that's pretty much it from me, mate. I've got the dogs in this one, hard to tip against them. I'm gonna go dogs by 6.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think the dogs at home this year, too hard to tip a game, so I think the dogs will get it done by 8.
Yeah.
Moving on to our first game of Super Saturday, we got the Finns versus the Wars.
No changes for the Dolphins at all. And then for the Warriors, we see James Fisher Harris return from its pectoral injury and be named at prop. While ringer Tuivasa Sheck will be given every chance to prove his fitness for Saturday's match after being listed in the reserves. Bunty Afoa started at prop last week but drops out of the squad, while Jackson Ford has been ruled out after suffering a concussion in the victory over the Dragons. Youngster Sam Healy is a new face on the bench. Any thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, mate. Only for the Dolphins, it's still just Herbie Farmworth. He's still good. He's still under owned. Just lock him in for the year, I reckon. And then for the Wars, it's Aaron Clark. He just keeps getting it done every week. I really wish I picked him up in Classic back when he was 400 and something K, but he's coming in now. He's more expensive than Eli Katola, and he's just having a really good season. And it's only been accelerated by Dylan Walker leaving. So I still don't know if I could get him now, but he's a gun this year.
Yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see how Aaron Clark goes with Fisher Harris back in the middle rotation, if he's still putting the same output, or if it was more so due to like the increased output was more so due to Dylan Walker. It could be a combination of both, but keen to see how that unfolds. I still don't mind Leka Halasima as a buy for the Warriors, and then obviously not so much Supercoach relevant, but it'll be good to see Roger come back into the side. I would expect him too, and I'm hoping he does after being named in the reserves last week. And for the Dolphins, yeah, just Herbie. On Herbie, I think he's a great buy any time just because he's so solid. But he's someone I don't know and I am looking at, but he doesn't play the round 13, which is sort of putting me off as well as his price as well. And also, he just seems to put out really, really solid scores, but he doesn't hurt you. He still hasn't turned up this year, but maybe who knows? This is the week that he could do it. An afternoon game on Saturday, and I actually am tipping the Dolphins. Going to keep the trend up of backing against my team on this podcast, even though I did tip the Warriors last week in the late change. But I think the Dolphins at Suncorp might have us, and I think we're due a loss. We're up at second in the ladder. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I actually think I'm going to tip the Wars in this. I agree. Dolphins at Suncorp should be strong, but the Wars are just growing from strength to strength, and they get obviously Fisher Harris back this week. So I think they'll just grow another leg again. So yeah, I've got the Wars by 4 in this game.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And if Roger comes in as well, might be a bit tough, too tough to beat for them.
That's it, mate. Moving on to our second game of Super Saturday, we got the Cows versus the Eagles.
Huge one here for the Cowboys. Young gun Jackson Purdy has shifted from centre to six in a major shake-up in the North Queensland attack with Tom Dearden to play halfback. Zach Laybutt comes into the centres and is set for his first NRL match since tearing his ACL in round 5 last year. No other changes for the Cowboys with Jake Clifford the 18th man. Seagulls, Jake Trbojevic has earned return to his primary position of lock as he looks to play his way back into a New South Wales jumper. The shuffle has seen Jazz Savanga move to hooker with Ethan Bullimore to start at prop and Jake Simkin shifting to the bench. Caleb Nabala has been added to the interchange in place of Clayton Farlolo, while prop Matt Lodge is now available for selection and has been listed in the reserves. Any thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, man, I think the obvious talking point here is Purdue in the six for the Cowboys. I actually like it. I think it's a good thing for the Cowboys. I think the kid's a gun. He's going to get his hands on the ball more, and I think it'll just show his sort of football ability. And I think it's also a good thing for Dearden, as well as playing in the seven. It's also maybe a good little audition for Origin in case Billy wants to go Munster and Dearden in the halves. But yeah, look, apart from the Cowboys, Drinky obviously is just a man in form at the moment, and with 3 tons in a row, I think he could very well make it 4 this weekend. So maybe not to spoil the captain selection, but I think he's a very good shout for captain this week. But yeah, for the cows, that's probably all I'm interested in now.
Yeah, mate. Just nothing really more to touch on than what you already have there. Rob Darby has made a lot of cash, and then as well, which is good for people that bought. Obviously we didn't, but he's turned out to be a bit better than we expected. And then Jeremiah Nano, mate, the one that got away for us, we both called it a few weeks ago. He's close to 700k now and has looked unreal. Scored a try like every game. So yeah, wish we backed the gut a bit more there, but nothing else to touch on. I do like the half switch as well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that sort of spine goes of Drinkwater, Purdue, Dearden, and Robson. It looks very strong to me. And I think they're attacking, very attacking players. And Drinkwater's one of my favourite players as well. So yeah, keen to see how that spine comes together.
Yeah, mate, and hopefully one of the listeners then brought Nanai there because we were pretty big on him a couple podcasts ago, and he's really just gone and said everything he'd do. So yeah, hopefully one of the listeners, one of you guys have jumped on and have seen those green arrows and price increases and points rewards for getting him on the pod. For the Seagulls, not much that interests me there. Obviously, I'll let you comment on Olakawar too, but yeah, Tommy Turbo just looks shot this year. I don't know, doesn't look
Yeah,
himself.
yeah, mate. Olukwatu, I mean, he's just that game, first game, I think I've owned him in SuperCoach ever. And yeah, it wasn't a very good watch. He throws a lot of risky offloads that he should probably just hold the ball, but we know what the weapon he is. And he's little bit lazy as well. He doesn't really get involved in tackles as much as I would like or you would like as a second row, but we know what he's good at, and he just didn't jag any attacking stats. But 55 points is solid enough, and I think he's sort of played his way out of Origin jersey, in my opinion. I think Angus Crichton, Liam Martin, and Hudson Young will be ahead of him, which is part of the reason that I went for him last week. The Manly got good buy cover. They play all 3 major buys, and he I don't think he plays Origin. This, do you agree with that, mate?
Yeah, I would agree. I think, as you said, Crichton and Martin are your edges, and Huddy Young's really been that form other edge on the bench.
Yeah. And then Turbo, yeah, Turbo. I've got him in the draft, and yeah, he's been very, very disappointing. I think that's the last year I ever draft Turbo. If I get the opportunity to, then I won't do it. But yeah, he doesn't look the same, and I would be very surprised if he gets named an Origin, honestly. Which people could look to buy based on pedigree, but he just doesn't look good, does he, at all?
Yeah, agreed there, mate. In this game, I actually think it could be a bit of a danger game for the Cowboys. I have the Seagulls winning this, even though the Cowboys are home, but I see plenty of points coming in. So I'm going to go Seagulls by 4 in this.
I'm on the Seagulls as well, mate. Funnily enough, I think they bounced back after last week's disappointing game. I'm gonna go Seagulls by 6 again.
Like it, mate. Like it. Six
Sorry,
again,
mate.
six
I've just
again.
got a bit of a bleeding nose. I'll be back in a sec.
All right, Zave will sort that out. Jeez, we're all on the wall as the podcasters this week. No good. Moving on to our final game of Super Saturday this week, we got the Sharks versus the Storm. So for the Sharks, we see Talakai is on track to make his return from a concussion and has been named on the interchange, while Teague Wilton remains a chance of completing his comeback from a shoulder injury after being listed in the reserves. Talakai has replaced Tom Hazelton, who succumbed to a shoulder injury suffered from last weekend, with prop Oregon Kaufusi returning to the starting side as a result. For the Storm, we see Captain Harry Grant listed among the reserves as he seeks to return from the hamstring injury and really prove his fitness for the Origin opener. Just one change to the 17 that beat the Tigers last week, which is Tui Kamakamika named on the bench and Nelson starting, reverting back to the reserves. Mate, any thoughts in this game here, which should be a cracker game Saturday night?
Should be a really good game at Shark Park. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Sharks actually get up. I can't tip him though. Um, Not really too much to touch on. I think if you're looking at Sharks players this week, it's probably not the week to do it, just because they are versing the Storm. I like the core has got a low BE, but I just can't bring him in with how popular he's getting. And this matchup this week, I can't see him scoring well. Same as Ronaldo, even Fanor Blake as well. Like I just have no interest. Obviously, geez,
That is bad.
my nose is pissing out, mate.
He's pissing. Jeez. No, good. He's copped an injury. I'm down, Sol's down.
Yeah,
This is what you get on
mate.
a Tuesday podcast, ladies and gents. You really get it all.
HI.
Oh, for the Sharks, obviously, Kale Ero just keeps scoring every week. He seems to be on one of those try scoring streaks this year, and I love him as a buy. He's a good pod, another pod in the center wing. I like him. I would go Herbie over him, but I really do like Kale Iro as a pod there in the center wing. Apart from that, as I mentioned, Nikra is an option, but not the ideal matchup this week. But someone like an AFB, I could absolutely get behind. I think the sooner you lock him in, and especially someone who's looking to have a front row forward of Haas, May, AFB, and Tarpany, I think that'd be really strong and really overpowered. So I don't mind that buy, but that's really that all that interests me for the Sharks. Anything for the Storm from you, mate?
No, not really, mate. Obviously they don't play next week, so I'm not really looking. I need to make up numbers after copying the couple injuries that we've copped. So not really. Hughes is someone that I think is a really good pod buy at the moment. I think we both own Pappenhausen, Munster, and then obviously own Eli Katoa, who I think is still a good buy as well, but he's been a touch disappointing. But Hughes is the one that piques my interest as a buy potentially for Cleary, but I can't bring myself to do it just yet. I think I'm looking at doing that trade more so in like round 15, around that sort of time period.
Yeah.
That's about it for me. Keep a keen eye on Harry Grant to see if he comes back, and then obviously, yeah, that's pretty well it. Yeah. That's all I've
You,
got to
mate.
touch on,
Good
mate.
stuff. I actually have the Sharks winning this. I think they grow a length after a good win from them last week. And I think back at home, they're always up for the Storm games. And I think the Storm, they obviously flogged the Tigers last week. So I think they might get a bit big headed. And I think the Sharks can really, really get up for them and beat them in this one. So I'm going to go the Sharks by 2 in this.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. That's a huge tip. I'm going to go Storm. Storm for sure. Storm by 8.
Like it, mate. On Sunday this week, which I believe we have 3 Sunday games. So the first Sunday game this week, we got the Broncos versus the Drags at Suncorp.
I'll let you take it away, mate. I'm a bit stuffed after
He's a
that.
bit
After
stuffed,
these
yeah.
games. Yeah, I'm
So
gonna
for the Bronx, we
tie this up,
see
mate.
Ezra Mann plays first game of the year after the suspension, and he replaces veteran 5'8" Ben Hunt, who injured his hamstring last weekend. Just one other change to the team that fell to South Sydney last weekend, which is Xavier Willison named in the back row, which puts Brendan Piacora back to the bench. However, like last week, it could be a game day switch. For the Dragons, we see a shoulder injury to Toby Couchman sees Jack DeBellin come into the starting side, with Blake Flory, the new face on the bench. Dylan Egan has been named in the back row and Lucy Leilua on the interchange, but the duo could be trade places again on game day like they did last week, which is annoying because last week I was going to play Egan and then I saw Egan got switched to the bench, so I unreserved him and I reserved LKT over him just to take a bit of a punt, chase the upside. I didn't want to really play someone playing on the bench, not really going to play. So I changed, and obviously Dylan Egan scored, pumped out at 83, and LKT had a shocker with 33. So that was a bit frustrating, but look, I still think he's a good buy in the 5'8" position. We see this year there's not much going on at 5'8", so I think at 198k, we see he's kept the jersey. I think we've seen a good enough signs from him so far to that it's his position really to keep. And so yeah, I think he can just grow strength to strength. I think this is a big matchup for them this week against the Broncos at home, but if they play well, I think he'll be part of everything. So yeah, I like the LKT buy, but apart from that, you're a bit interested in LPT for the Dragons, Big Loco.
Yeah, mate. Obviously he only played his first game last week, but he's someone I'm definitely looking at as a bit of a switch from Royce Hunt. He looks good. He's a young talent, with a bit of a motor on him. So I'll definitely look to trade him in round 14-ish for Royce Hunt, because he covers those two last buy rounds. As for King Tongia, I don't like the buy. Obviously, I don't have him, but I'm not getting him this week. I just don't want to take up one of those 5'8" spots with him. Obviously he's going to make money, but as I've sort of said all year, I'm not in it for the cash. I want to get points, and I just if Munster wasn't to back up from Origin on round 13, when the Storm are back, then you're forced to play King Tongia or trade Munster, and I just don't want to be put in a position where I'm playing King Tongia against like the Storm, let's say, or in a tough matchup. As we saw, he just got 33 points, with 12 of those points being from a try assist. So it's not great. I know it's not a good position, but I just in a position where you can only select two people, I don't like it. I like to have those positions with a bit more. You've got Jaden Campbell and Dylan Brown, who you could partner with Munster, who I like a lot more and will pay up for because they're more pod and you can play them all the time. So that's just my take on it. But yeah, from the Dragons, not too much else to touch on there. Pacific Tonga, obviously, a bit keen on, and I even had a look at Jaden Sawyer actually. I don't know if he plays Origin, but I think he's very capable and has a pretty good SuperCoach game. And I'm tipping him to score a try this week, so I quite like him a lot. If he played next round 12, I would get him over your Nikaras and even your Hoskins, for example. I'd be jumping all over him.
Yeah, like it, mate. For the Broncos, not too much to touch on. I think Ezra Mam is obviously a big inclusion, and I think he's really going to do well for Walshy because I think Ezra really unlocked Walsh, and we saw this year Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds didn't really work with Walsh, but I think when Ben Hunt comes back playing in the hooker role with Reynolds and Ezra in the halves, I think that could be good signs for Walshy. So yeah, just that's all I really wanted to comment on there. Otherwise, not too much going on at the Broncos for me, mate.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm a Cobbo owner, so I'm hoping that translates to Cobbo at the back this week. So yeah, like I'm very keen for this game after bringing in Cobbo at fullback, and Ezra Mam there should only mean good things for Cobbo. So I'm hoping he can have a big one as a bit of a pod buy. I probably wouldn't jump on now. The week to do it was last week. Nothing else to touch on from my end. I guess Pia Kura is someone that a few people looked at, but he's back to the bench, so I don't think he can do it unless you're confident he goes back into a starting role, which I'm not very confident. What's your advice just before we move on to Gutho owners? If they held, obviously you sold last week, but would you be selling this week?
No, I think I would just probably hold.
Yeah,
Unless you have him in the flex, then I could move him on for like a Hosking or a Collar this week.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough, mate.
What about you?
Yeah, I would still be selling him. I think I'd sell even at 600k. Doesn't cover next round. It's a pretty tough matchup against the Broncos. I'd be looking to get, if you don't have Drenky, I'd be looking to get him. If you don't have Teddy, I probably wouldn't go him this week, but I would be looking to just shift Gutho on for someone that's 600k and value that you don't have.
Yeah, agreed there, mate. In this one, I think the Broncos bounce back, but the Dragons again could be up for this. So I think I'm going to tip the Broncos by 10, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dragons randomly show up and the Broncos don't.
I'm definitely tipping the Broncos in this. I'm tipping the Broncos by 12, I reckon.
Like it, mate. And moving on to our second last game of the week, we got the Raiders versus the Titans.
Yeah, mate. So for the Raiders, we see Hosking shifted to second row in place of Matty Nicholson, who was set for surgery and 12 weeks on the sideline with a lower leg injury that hurts both of us. Corey Horsburgh is set to return from a head knock suffered during Magic Round, and there's no other changes. Titans, Kieran Foran is set for his first match since injuring his biceps during the preseason challenge and has been named on a new look interchange. Jamin Jolliffe will make his return for suspension by the bench, with Isaac Fasul Malawi unavailable due to the concussion protocols. Arama Howe is the other man to drop out of the 17. Just one minor change to the starting side, with Philip Sami shifting from centre wing and Jojo Fafita moving to the centres. What are your thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, mate, not too much to touch on with the Titans. I think it's mainly the Raiders, the talking points, and it's obviously the Matty Nicholson injury. So the reports have come out today he's going to be missing 10 to 12 weeks. So he's definitely a sell. And because he's missing 10 to 12 weeks, that's quite an extended period of time. The bloke that's going to replace him, i.e., Zach Hoskin, looks a great buy. Now, look, I'm in a position this week where it's sort of Hosking or Colo, and I'm more inclined to go Colo just because I think him playing in the middle for the Bunnies is just really good. But I can't knock Hosking. I think he's a great worker, just out on the edge there. Might not get through as much work as we've seen him getting through in the middle, but I definitely can't knock the buy. But I think it's good signs as well for Corey Horsburgh. If he's still owned, he'll be playing bigger minutes now. And as again, Joe Tarpany is someone I really want this weekend just because he's so pod. He's about 730k. He just hasn't dropped in price this year. And he's just insane the numbers he's putting out. So yeah, he's someone I'm really looking at buying this week, mate.
Yeah, basically the exact same thoughts as you on that, mate. Tarpany looks to be an awesome buy, and I've had a look at him as well. And he covers you guaranteed buy coverage because he's a Kiwi and he won't play Origin. On Hosking, I love him. Obviously, I started the season with him, and he's about the same price as, like, he's even less than that now. So I think he's a really good buy at that price, as I did early on the season too. I just would be wary that I think Simi Sasangi will take some minutes off him. Like, I'm not sure if he plays 80 minutes on the edge. As and I don't think we have seen Ricky sort of do that, but maybe with Hudson Young going to Origin next week, as we predict he might. So just something to keep an eye on there. But yeah, I do like Hosking as a buy. As for you, on your sort of contemplation between him and Koloa Matangi, I think Koloa Matangi, if he plays middle consistently, will outscore him. I just don't know, like, what's going on with Bennett. Like, if that's a consistent role for him. In my opinion, he's way better in the middle. I owned him last year, and I absolutely loved every game he played in the middle at lock. But every time he was shifted to second row, it was just such a, like, basically his points just shut the bed and has went like basically half. So he puts out about 70 to 80 in base every week in the middle. But if you put him on the edge, he gets about 40 points. So just something to just depends on how much you trust Wayne to keep him there.
That's it, mate. And I think with the Bunnies obviously winning last week, I think that was massive. And I think he was, along with Latrell Mitchell, he was one of the main reasons because he really dominated that middle pack. And for someone who insists on wanting to play on an edge, I think he's just so much of a better player playing through the middle, where he can maul through his work and just really put himself out there. So yeah, I really like him as a buy this week, not to jump the gun. But apart from this, not more too much to touch on. I think the Raiders should have a good win, especially after losing that game last week. And I think they should probably put a score on the Titans at home. So good signs if you still own Tamale and someone I would be playing this week. So yeah, in this one I have the Raiders by 14.
Yeah, don't mind it, mate. At GIR, I'm going to tip the Raiders as well. There's nothing really to touch on for the Titans. I don't think they've got many good buys. I saw Brian Kelly's at a pretty cheap price, but probably can't go there with them not playing the first buy round. And then Jaden Campbell as well, as obviously he's a weapon, so he's someone to always keep an eye out for. But they've got a pretty tough run of games. I think they go Raiders this week away, bye, and then Broncos Storm. So it's not massively ideal. Both Firmo ships sailed. And then for the Raiders, just one more person to touch on is Xavier Savage is down at 300k. He's someone that I looked at as a bit of a downgrade option. If you are looking at like Corey Allen, for example, I would be going Savage. He's someone that I could see definitely scoring like a hat trick or something, doing something this week as a bit of a pod. And he covers you next week as well in the bye. And who knows? The Raiders could go on a run. They've got a pretty soft draw. I think 300k is a pretty fair price for Savage.
Yeah, I like that, mate. That's a really good shout there. Moving on to our last game of the week, we got the Tigs versus the Bunnies.
Yeah, mate. So for the Tigers, we see Stafford Toa on track to return from a neck injury. Staines has kept his place on the wing with Brent Naden named on the interchange. And the injury to Fanua Pole has seen prop Royce Hunt come into this starting side. Good for us Royce owners, mate. With Jack Bird listed on the bench and Talon De Silva dropping back to the reserves. Rabbitohs veteran Alex Johnston has been named to make his return from a hamstring injury as he continues to pursue his pursuit for NRL's all-time try scoring record. Fletcher Myers, how many? I don't know how many tries he's off that record, but maybe that's something. If you know that, comment that down in the comment section below. Obviously, we'd probably Google it, but yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Fletcher Myers shifts to the reserves as a result, with no other changes to the side that defeated Brisbane last week. Josh Schuster has again been listed in the extended squad in his bid for South Sydney debut. What are your
Sorry,
thoughts?
mate. I'm
That's all
just
good.
looking up how many tries he has. He's got
Yeah.
196.
How many does he need?
196 tries for the Bunnies.
What's the record? NRL's all-time try scoring record. All-time.
2012, Ken Irving. So
Oh, that's
he's
212. So he's
14
16,
or 16, yeah. Or
16
17
off.
to get the record. So
16.
let's
Did he do
cheer
it
him
this
on,
year?
hey? Let's
Yeah.
cheer him on, community. They're hooked on. Get behind AJ. Let's see him get
16
there.
tries. That's a try every game pretty well. Like they've probably got a bye. He's got to average over a try a game. I don't think he's doing it this year.
Who knows? He does have those games where he gets hatties, just I don't know, the easiest hat tricks ever. But from a Supercoach perspective, not really too much to comment on either of these games. I reckon with a bench like that, Royce Hunt could see an increase in his 10 to 15 minutes per game, mate.
Yeah. Who knows, mate? It can't get much worse. He's woeful for Supercoach. I said that in the preseason, but I should have just veered away. It would have been better having enough because he just lost 50k and I've still got him. But oh well, it is what it is. I've got absolutely nothing to touch on from the Tigers side of things. Wouldn't be buying any of them. They've got a really bad buy schedule, and then obviously they just got pumped last week and don't look very good. Um, so like I don't think there's any good buys in the side, honestly, apart from May. Like I'm looking at it and I can't see a single person that I'm interested in at all. Um, I've got Dewey and I'm looking to ship him off very soon.
Fair
At the
enough,
moment, do
mate.
you agree on that, mate?
Yeah, well, I think you can make a case for Galvin, you can make a case for Truva. Buller, obviously Terrell May is a gun and Safeharp has been in around the talks at the start of the season there. But yeah, look, I think we bounce back this week and we'll definitely beat the Bunnies. I think the Bunnies will put up a good game.
Jeez.
I think we see Tigers, yeah, bounce back and get the win here. I think obviously the main talking point for the Bunnies is, for me anyway, is Colin Matangi playing in the middle there with the 10 on his back. We saw him there last week. I think he played 73 minutes straight, scored about 76 Supercoach points, all in base stats. He's an absolute work animal. He gets to it all. And I think as long as he keeps playing through the middle, he's someone who's an absolute Supercoach gun and someone I want on my side, and someone who will get to it very shortly, but someone I'm looking to bring in this week. So, yeah, that's all that interests me out of this game, mate.
Yeah, I like that, mate. Just a Hubner, if you held, they'd be pretty happy. I'm a holder. I'm definitely holding throughout the bias as he plays 15 and 18. And a couple of sneaky pod buys that I don't mind at their price. Ewan Aitken at second row. I think he could go over for a try this weekend, and he's set to get dual, I believe, as well. Dual centre wing, which is huge. And we'll cover those last two buy rounds. And as we know from previous seasons, when he does play second row, he does score very well. And the other one is Campbell Graham. A bit of a blast from the past. He's been a gun before, 424k. He's someone that I actually did look at to bring in. He's got 60 and 40 in back-to-back weeks in base. I think he's also due a try this week, so I don't mind him as a downgrade option from someone like Marju if you're looking to free up some funds. And then obviously Latrell Mitchell. I don't think we haven't seen him at fullback be worth like 580k or whatever he is now. So for those that don't have basically the fullback combo of Teddy, Pappenhausen, and Drinkwater, maybe you could look to veer away from whichever one you don't have and go a Latrell if he's not named an Origin. I'd prefer that over a Turbo, I think. But
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
like that, mate. I do think he probably plays Origin after his game last week. Obviously, the 2 point field goal and really the try to tap it off just shows he's still him, and Turbo played shocking. So, yeah, I think it'll be Trell and Critter in the centers.
Yeah, I agree there, mate. I think yeah, I think Turbo's going to miss out. Yeah, that's all for me. I'm tipping the bunnies in this one by 8.
Yeah, and I am Tigers by 8. So, that's
Yeah,
a good
right,
one there
mate.
to wrap it up for the week with the TLT. That brings us into our trades and skippers for the week. So, for me this week, it's pretty simple. The trade outs, we've obviously got Greg Marzu injured as well as Nicholson. So we'll trade Marzu out here and we'll trade out Nicholson. We're going to shift Lucas down, leaving our center wing with Karaz, Herbie, Garrick, and Lucas, which is a center wing combo I really like. And then that enables me to bring in two sort of second row forwards. There's a few options I've liked. I've liked both Olakawatu and ECAT. Leaves about 60k in the bank. Shores up the second row, but a lot of people already own these guys. And for someone who's looking to kind of make a bit of ground and go a bit pod, I am more interested and more keen on Tarpany personally. And as I sort of mentioned before, Colo. So we got Taps. Where is the big man? There he is. And then ranked on points last week, he scored 70. Oh, it flicked Lucas back down though when I couldn't see him. And then yeah, so I can obviously go Hosking. I don't mind the Hosking shout, but yes, for me, I'm more interested in Keon Kolomatangi. So those will be my trades for the week. It's Marzu to Colo and Nicholson to Taps. So that also sort of locks in my center wing and front row forward for the year as well, and really locks that in. So if we optimize the team now, we'll work from the back. So Ponga, he doesn't get a reserve from the optimizer. That's how it's been recently with the man. He gets the VC and Drinky gets the C for this week. In the centers, we got Karaz, Herbie, Lucas, and Garrick. But Tamale will get a reserve, obviously, against the Titans. Munster in 5'8", Hines at halfback. We see with Cleary on the bye this week. In the second row, we've got Tino, Colo, and Egan. Naf White won't be getting a reserve because that will be going to AFB, and it'll be Tamale over Naf White, just with sort of,
matchup.
I don't think he plays the big minutes this week. And next week is when everyone goes off to Origin and he's going to see the increase in minutes. So I'm going wide over Egan and Tamale this week. Sorry to bench. And then, yeah, front row forwards, I'm loving this. I've got Haas May, Taps, and AFB. That really looks strong. And then, yeah, hooker. We're running the gauntlet and we're going to go Brayley over Sandon this week. So, yeah, that's my trades for the week, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I like it. I like the trades. Yeah, can't really fault either of them. The front row looks unreal, and so does your centre wing, mate. I think that's pretty. I'll maybe be looking at shifting Tamale and Jenkins and getting upgrading some other positions. Maybe you can fund a Teddy or something in the coming weeks, or maybe upgrade your I don't know, somewhere else. But yeah, it looks really, really solid, mate.
That's it, mate. And obviously, with the round 12 bye next week, we get 3 trades already. So, for someone who's used all their boosts, that's another chance to use a few
Yeah.
more trades, which I will probably need to do knowing my luck this year. But yeah, that's my trade plans and skippers for the week, mate. How about you? Do you want to share your screen or
Yeah.
do you just want to
Are
walk
you?
through it?
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Are you pretty locked into those trades, mate?
Yeah, pretty locked in. I'm really keen on Tarpany and same as Colo. So yeah, close to that. But I'm also keen on Eli Katoa. And if I was to go an Eli Katoa, the other option would be either Fletcher Sharp or yeah.
Yeah. Same trade outs, mate, as you. I am not as set on my trades as you are, though. I don't think. So at the moment, have a look at this, mate. Have a look at this. This is just typical Supercoach, isn't it? I put in Hosking, and I am 1.6k short
Oh,
of getting Herbie. And if I want to shift Lucas down and get Tarpany, I'm like 6k short of that too. So bit of a 7k. Yeah, a bit stiff there. Otherwise, I would be doing these trades 100% and going either Tarpany or Herbie. Sort of forces my hand. I'm pretty keen on going Hosking at that price with the buy coverage as well and against the Titans. So I think I'm locking him in. It would just do my head in if I started with him and then people started to bring him in now, and then he went off. So I don't think I'm going to put myself through that. I'm pretty keen to get him in, and I think he's sort of like a Lucas mold of player, where Lucas and Jacob Preston, like he's sort of on that caliber. And if he plays 80 minutes, I could see him being that good. Um, like there's definitely potential there. I just want to see him play 80, and I'll be pretty happy with the buy. At the moment, though, it's looking like Marju and Nicholson to Hosking and Fletcher Sharp I can afford, who I don't have yet. It's very boring though, isn't it? A knight and a raider for a knight and a raider. It's pretty much the exact same shit, and a lot of people are doing that exact trade as well. So I I don't know. I'm still not set on it. So many people have Fletcher Sharp, and I would like to pot up elsewhere. So I'm very tempted to do that. Obviously I got Cobbo, but maybe I want to add a bit more pod. So the other two options I had a look at, and was playing around. I can shift Dewey down, and I was having a look at getting in Dylan Brown against the Knights this week, who I don't mind, and obviously it won't be affected by Origin, and kick out. That's the pod route that I would go if I was going down that route, but I think I'm leaning more towards the Fletcher Sharp and Hosking for now, mates. To be honest, but I might change that. Not sure. Anyway, I'll show you what the side looks like with that, and we'll move on.
yeah, I think it's a shame you're just short of Herbie. If you could afford Herbie and Hosking, I think those would be great trades.
Yeah, that was my initial sort of thought, but yeah, it was 1k off. Um, just optimize it. I'll start it from the back. Um, Not sure on captaincy this week. I definitely will have something on Drinkwater. Um, and I've just got a bit of a bad feeling as well about him. Turning up 3 weeks in a row. Can he do it again? Yeah, but we'll obviously playing Pappenhausen, Drinkwater, and Teddy. We'll play Courage, Sharp, Garrick, and Toya, and probably Cobbo. I'll probably play Toya as well. Um, Obviously can't play, not playing Dewey. um, and I would play Hosking instead. So that would be the side there, mate. Pretty stock standard. Oh, I would be vice captaining Teddy and captaining Drinkwater if I went the Drinky C route. That's how it's looking. Not too unhappy with that. Hopefully, Toya can back it up. I could change the reserve to go a bit safer and go Hubner or even Dewey against South, but I think I will just stick on Toya. And at the moment, I'm leaning towards playing Riley Smith over Sandon actually and just banking safer points. Sandon against the Dogs isn't very interesting for me. What do you think of that, mate?
Yeah, mate, I like it. I think his side's looking pretty strong now. And yeah, I don't mind that option where you kind of upgrade the 5'8" as well. I think that could be a good pod sort of play to gain rank against the sort of 900 other blokes in front of you. But yeah, I think it's a strong looking side, mate.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Like I really don't want to be going Fletcher Sharp to be honest. Like he's just like I think he's owned by like 80% now. So I'd prefer to try veer away and do something different. Do you think Dylan Brown can outscore Fletcher Sharp? Like I think he can.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think we see every week Dylan Brown is just the king of junk points. Every week he'll get
mm,
you 60 points no matter what. Some weeks maybe more, some weeks only a little bit less. But I think he's super consistent and we'll get to that end of the year and Dylan Brown will have a 60, 65 average and we'll be like, yeah, like that's just what he does.
yeah, yeah, that's it, man. That's how the side's looking though. Not too bad. It's good to have Teddy back, obviously. Yeah, it looks pretty solid. Toya is not an ideal play, but hopefully you can replicate the 148 he got a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all for me, mate. Anything more you would like to add before we wrap it up?
Nah, mate, I think that's good. It's just, yeah, a reminder for next week. We obviously get the Origin team list come out Sunday, so anyone in Origin won't be playing next week, along with any sort of buy players. So next week it's your best 13 that sort of count towards your score. And I think we've seen sort of over the past couple years now, it's not really about the numbers you have, it's more about the quality of that 13. So if I was to emphasize anything, I would try and have a good 13 ready to go for next week. But in saying that, you also get 3 trades before the boost next week. So if you're sitting at 10 or 11 or 12 guns, yeah, that's more than fine. Just trade another one next week. But apart from that, mate, I think that wraps it up. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments there. And then, yeah, let us know what you think of the Tuesday podcast. I'll try and get this out, edit it, upload it, get it out tonight, just a day early with sort of the change in circumstances for Sol and myself this week. But yeah, any closing remarks, mate?
No, that's pretty much all. Yeah, thanks for the show, Fish, and thanks everyone for listening. And hopefully, yeah, a bit of a switch up from us this week, and we'll see how it goes with engagement. Because maybe we could shift the show to a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday. We'll just have to see how the timings go, but it aligned this week, and yeah, maybe we'll play around with it in the future.
That's it, mate. And also the shorter sort of content. So we're getting to the point of the season now where there's not too much happening with TLT. So me and Sol are really trying to kind of breeze through that, kind of just have any real talking points out of it, the tip, and then on to the next game just to get a shorter potty out to you guys in about an hour or so, which is just more manageable to listen to. But yeah, let us know any thoughts, comments, suggestions. As Sol mentioned at the start, we'll be having a bit of a revamp in the off season. So if you've got any good ideas or good suggestions, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I've got nothing more to add. Thanks everyone. Yeah, keen for next week, and wish everyone the best for SuperCoach this round.
That's it, mate. Good luck, guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, guys.